that's life. That's life. That's what all the people say. You're riding high in April, shot down in May. But I know I'm gonna change that tune when I'm back on top in June. I said that's life.
Episode 2, Season 2. We had Carlson on last time. That was fun. This is the Ketchup episode. So no guests, just Gary and I, and just trying to figure out what the hell we've been up to. And I'm looking forward to this because every time that we've talked on the phone, we've purposely not talked at all about anything that has to do or could be put into a podcast. So I feel like I've known so much about you 6 months ago, and now I know nothing.
We haven't talked a lot in depth about anything.
No, not at all.
I mean, we've talked a bunch of times. It's just
right.
Every time we've had to stop ourselves.
Yeah.
So what have you been up to for 6 months?
Oh my God, it's been busy. It's the one thing that we talked about, but then we stopped talking about it, was how obviously we're in two different parts of the country. Obviously you're in California, I'm in Delaware. So winter for me, there's nothing to do. Whereas, in the winter months for you, it's always sunny and it's probably like any other day of the year. So for me, it's always so easy to do this in the winter and to find time to do this. But the summer, man, holy crap, dude, I have no time for anything.
I feel like just life in general has been going like this clock that just continually starts spinning faster and faster and faster, and especially kind of ramping out of the whole COVID thing and trying to get back to a normal life. And it definitely seems like it flies. And then for us out here, we don't know what seasons are in California. We just kind of have one thing that kind of blends together.
Yeah, on top of that, obviously, I feel like kind of the country's back to normal. So have you noticed anything in your shop? Have you noticed a decrease of inquiries or emails or anything like that now that everything's normal again?
No, we actually we get more now than we ever have. Again, I've been kind of ramping back into doing car audio as a focus. Before we were doing displays and prototyping work was taking up probably 75% of our schedule, and the audio was 25, and now we're definitely at probably about 80% doing audio. And so I'm actually finding myself having a hard time keeping up, getting quotes out and dealing with inquiries and that kind of stuff. So we're definitely very busy on that side, and busier than ever.
I feel like it's dropped off a bit. Because, even during the pandemic, literally some of the clients I had would say things like, I'm not traveling. I have this massive budget now that I'm used to spending money on X, Y, and
Right.
Z that I can't do. And
Right.
I want to spend my money. People have literally said that. So, with everything back to normal, I don't know. It just feels like I've seen a small decrease in the YouTube inquiries and stuff like that. I've started TikTok now, though. I never thought I would do it, but the reason I kind of like TikTok is because you can easily have a bunch of recordings on your phone, right? So if I'm doing a bunch of different parts of a project, I can just take little video snapshots, and then the app makes it really easy to edit it all together, and it can be longer than a minute, right? So with Instagram, one, you really can't edit inside the app. Two, it can't be longer than a certain amount of time. Whereas on TikTok, I can pretty much make it how I want it, right? And the cool part about that is I can edit together. So, the social media is all used for different little tidbits. And I'm going to start using it to really show kind of the amount of work that goes into something, to kind of build the value, to show that I made the part, but this is kind of what it took to make the part. And the reason I never really did stuff like that, on YouTube, is because it's too freaking time consuming to get out a physical camera, shoot it, edit it. Whereas on TikTok, I can just kind of take snippets, talk real quick, and then kind of describe it and put different parts and sequence together to make like 5 different videos. So I just did like my first 5, I guess, TikToks, and I'm building. Well, I built door panels for the Vanderhall Carmel that I just did, and I kind of did like from the design process, like me kind of sketching something on the factory door panel, then showing it in CAD of like what I came up with, then like printing out some parts to lay it on the door panel, then making the door panel to like PVC and ABS, and then doing the inserts, staining the wood, wrapping it, and then showing the completed product. So it's pretty cool. I guess we'll see how, I guess, TikTok forms, but I think it's a good tool to show the value of the amount of work you put into something.
Yeah, I'm always just blown away by how much time some people, you being one of them, spend on documenting what you're doing. Like I always ask people, hey, can I get some pictures of this? Can I get some pictures of that? And I fly so fast trying to keep up with things that I'm terrible at documenting what we do. And so that's why you'll see, I mean, you know, I post on Instagram, I'll post like a whole bunch for a short period of time because I feel like I'm a little bit caught up, and other times I'll go months without posting anything. Yeah,
so I've gotten into that, and I think just to kind of like backtrack a bit, since it is season 2 now, we never talked about some of the stuff that we've received, some of the bottles that we've received,
yes.
Right? So Todd Ramsey, great friend of the pod, great friend of us, Todd Ramsey Consulting Group. I think that's his official job title there. He sent us, and he came in huge. Huge. So he sent us each a 12-year-old Whistle Pig Rye, which, you know, if you're a fan, you're going to know what that is, and it's great stuff. And then he sent us each a bottle of Sazerac Rye, which is, again, top shelf stuff. And then I had him send me individually a bottle of Dos Hombres Mezcal, because for whatever reason you can't buy it locally. And, you know, I'm a big Breaking Bad fan, and Dos Hombres is a mezcal that was made by Bryan Cranston and Aaron Paul. So always wanted to try it, but had it. It was delicious, but it sucks because I can't buy it here in Delaware for whatever reason.
I have no supply.
Yeah, Delaware is one of those states where you can't like ship. You can't do any of those services that ship alcohol. Yeah, so kind of lame. So that was from Todd. And then, do you want to talk about the other bottle that we got?
Which one?
The Waitsburg whiskey from Corey.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I see, and here's the hard part. I just lined mine all up sitting on a shelf, and I've been trying not to touch them. I know you've been sampling every single one that comes in.
Of course. So, yeah, we got that from Corey, and it's funny about that. Like, I had no idea who it came from. It had, like, no name on it. So
did you start calling around?
It just said Car Toys. So I called everyone that I knew that worked at Car Toys, and everyone's like, no, it wasn't me.
And that's my bad, because he had actually messaged and I had answered him through I think probably the Instagram page, and I forgot to prep you for that. So
yeah, but it was a nice surprise of like, oh, dope. It's always fun.
Thank you.
So if you send us a bottle, we'll mention you and give you props, even if the whiskey sucks.
Yep. Justin Cush. Did I say that out loud? You gonna cut that out?
No, we'll keep it in.
Okay. He wanted us to be brutally honest, so we are.
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't know because I didn't open mine yet. So
I think the giveaway for him though is it was a Texas like branded whiskey that was made in Canada. Is that right? That should have been a dead giveaway.
Hold on, let me see.
But it came in a cool bag.
It did come in a really cool bag. It was Texas Crown Club Ultra Premium.
But it's like made in Canada or
Canadian whiskey.
Yeah. Okay. It's fun.
It's cool though. I like this.
I like the bottle. Yeah.
Yeah. So what else? Any other ones I've forgotten about?
I don't think so.
Okay. I know you have another huge surprise that I still don't understand that we'll talk about as soon as you figure out whatever that is.
Huge surprise.
the certificate and whatnot.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
wait till you get the whole story on that. But
Yeah, I'll have to figure that out. Oh yeah, you've
Yeah.
never seen the actual bottle that we got. Let's
oh,
see. It's you see it says the old fashioned car audio pod.
oh, that's awesome.
So I keep this right next to my computer. Maker's Mark bottle that says the old fashioned car audio pod.
Super cool.
Yep. Crafted specially for. Keep that right there.
What else? What else you been up to?
So I've seen you post stuff and I've been anxious to ask.
Okay.
I've seen an
What?
Audi. I just saw an Audi that you did.
Oh, the R8. I've already forgotten all these things. I never post when stuff is in the shop. I always wait till it's gone, and then I just kind of like randomly, hey, let's post something. So yeah, that Audi R8 came in, and he wanted to add bass, and it had just the super basic system. And by the time I got in there, luckily he kind of gave me a little bit of leeway to just do my thing, as long as I made sure it looked like it belonged and looked good. And we just did a rear fire box on the shelf with 2 8s firing back that was ported. And for an amplifier, I went with the audio control small mono amp, just because it has the Acubase, and not knowing how bad the bass roll off was going to be in the car without tearing it apart and measuring and all that. I figured it was kind of a safe bet, and gave me a good amount of power for a good price. Those amps are pretty solid.
If Chris Bennett's listening right now, he just got a chub, 100%.
Chris is good people. And so we put the audio control. I'm terrible with part numbers. The 800 watt monoblock, LC 800.1, something like that. Who knows? And so we set that up, and I got it up and running. We kind of the car had to leave to go somewhere else to get paint protection film or something done. And by the time I got it fired up, the bass had so much output, like so much more than I expected, that it like just overshadowed the front in a terrible way. So then we started looking for what we could do to, we'd blown the budget to put the woofer in. And so what else can we do? So we added a small DSP amp on the factory mid basses, and I put a set of tweeters in the dash, an upgraded set of home audio tweeters, and just tuned it. And then the Acubase wasn't nearly as important now that I had DSP, but yeah, it's a really nice little system. And that, that cockpit is so small that it pressurizes really well and sounded good. And now you can hear it over the engine. So pretty sweet car with nice wheels on it. And he just did some more stuff, carbon fiber, the big engine brace in the back of the R8. He got that all done out of carbon fiber and stuff. It's a really cool car. And then we did the woofer box in another car of his. I did a really cool one. I haven't shown you pictures or shown anybody yet, but at some point I'll post them. But it was new Expedition, and wanted significantly more bass than his last Expedition that just had a little 10 in the rear side. And we did 4 Arc Audio 8s ported, but since there's like a little bit of a dip in the floor in the back for storage compartments, we only had to raise the floor about 5 inches to get 4 8s to fire back, and like welded up a whole steel cage to support the floor and hold the grill in place and stuff.
It sounds so Gary.
Yeah, it's so overdone, so overcomplicated. But when you look in, you just see the floor is lifted like 5 inches, but this thing just gets down big.
That's cool.
So yeah, 2 cars for the same customer in a short period of time.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, we got a bunch of them stacked up. I'm gonna have to like totally jog through my memory and start pulling through. We did another Lambo, the Utopia M10 and the passenger footwell.
How'd that turn out?
Good, really good.
Dude, I love that sub. I love that sub so much.
Yeah,
it's so nasty.
It's really tough because I'm cheap, right? Like I'm just a cheap. I'm so value cheap, whatever. Like my go-to woofer would never be a, whatever that thing is, $1,700-$1,800 retail subwoofer is not going to be my go-to. But in this scenario, in a scenario where you don't have a lot of room, you need something that can hold power, hold a good amount of power, get loud, and is really shallow. That's the choice. Like there is nothing that does what that woofer does.
It performs
at
so
any
well,
price.
right?
Yeah,
and it only needs like 0.4 cubes.
Yeah, I want to say we were probably like 0.35 on the 10.
Yeah,
and and it just works. It's one of those things where when you model it and you put any other woofer in the place, and like even you know me, I love a Illusion Carbon C10. I find nothing wrong with the JL shallow woofers. There's a lot of good choices in shallow woofers. But
well, the C10. So the C10, that's the flat one, not the XL.
Right.
That one, that is like one of the only subwoofers that I've ever used that you just cannot cheat airspace, because it calls for like 0.8, right? And it does a little better if it's like more towards 1, but because of how it's designed, right? You have the magnet in the front, and if you just do not, like if it's too little airspace, that the driver's going to rub up against like the pole, and you're going to hear it.
Yeah, it's one of those woofers that I try to, when we use that woofer, we use it in downfire applications where it's loading and you won't hear that noise. There's a lot of woofers like that have that slight little air leak to it when the Neo motor is hung in front of the cone. The Arc SW series is like that. The Illusion woofers are like that. There's a couple other guys that have done it that way, and it's one of those situations where if you're loading the woofer into a downfire, you don't hear it at all. It's not a big deal at all. If you're sitting near field to it, maybe.
Yeah, I remember I did a Dodge Viper way back in the day where we took out that the little Alpine enclosure and made a box for the 10, and the box looked.
I think that's on Illusion's website, isn't it?
Yeah. It looked the box was amazing looking. And I remember when I first built it, you could hear that noise, and I'm just like, fuck. So I had to like take everything back apart, and then I basically had to like fiberglass mold 2 pockets that would like go up and beyond the panel to the sides to create extra room to alleviate that pressure inside the enclosure.
Yep.
And then it sounded okay. So
yeah, definitely the C10, C12, if you have the airspace, works good. But that Utopia M, if you're choked off on airspace, I don't know.
Yeah, that thing is amazing. Yep.
Yeah.
So
we have a fun one coming up that we're just kind of in the mock-up stage. I think we talked about this one off air, but that's getting 4 Utopia M10s with a Pro 110 on each woofer. And I'm super excited for that one.
What's that gonna be in?
It's this very custom truck. Very, very custom.
Very custom. It's funny talking to Gary, because half the times you talk to Gary, like he does so much shit that he just can't talk about. Whether it's like for a special manufacturer or for something top secret or prototype. So there's so many times he'll just be like, I'm building it, but I can't say anything more about it.
This truck is not one of those things, but I don't want to say too much because it's somebody else's build that they're putting a ton of time into, right? We're going to be responsible for the audio side of it, but this truck is going to have thousands and thousands and thousands of hours into fabrication on it, and I don't want to let anything out. It's for the owner to put out to the world when he's ready and when the truck is done. So
it's just fun.
But,
I mean,
it's crazy.
There's never anything top secret with me. I've never had
to sign an NDA.
I've never had a secret. Oh God, maybe one day I'll be that important.
Oh gosh, it's a responsibility sometimes. I wish there was like when you sign those NDAs, sometimes like it'd be nice if there was a statute of limitations so that like I could be like, all right, Matt, in 5 years we're going to talk about this thing that I did.
Yeah, so I mean, I think where I last left off was I was building that Stingray,
Yeah, you're just finishing up the vet last time.
That
we
thing
did one
that
of
thing
these.
turned out really well, man. I mean, it's a car I could never physically drive, right? Because I remember driving it to. So I don't even know if I talked about this last time, but I drove it to the beach, okay, to do the video and the photo shoot. And I always drive my cars to, wherever I take the pictures and take the pictures in the video. And it's also a way for me to do like a little road test, make sure nothing cuts out, stuff like that. And upon parking it on the beach, I had the top off. It had, I believe, yeah, it was like a T-top vet. And I had the tops off. They weren't with me in the car. And I'm parked and I'm ready to take pictures. And all of a sudden, and I've lived here for like 4 years and I've never seen some shit like this. But there was like this fucking wind sand tornado that just like ripped through the beach parking lot.
Oh gosh.
And sand literally went everywhere. Every nook, every cranny, like every insert in the car, every spot where there was a crack, there was just grains of sand everywhere. And I was just like, are you fucking kidding me? And then I just drove it directly back. And then it was like on a Friday and I just like look at it and I'm like, whatever, go home Monday morning. Had to like vacuum out, air hose out the whole thing, brought it back. But, for me, that 79 vet, there's no way that I could. That was just built for a different type of human. I feel like we've evolved as humans because like nobody taller than me, and I'm 6 foot, is really driving that car comfortably. I just don't get it.
Would you ever have an old car?
For sure.
And when I say old, I'm saying 60s. Okay, we'll say 75 or older. Would you ever have a 75 or older car? Is there anything that piques your interest?
So those cars they don't speak to me. They don't move me, but 100%. If there's an old car that was more of like a resto mod is more my style,
Yep.
right? So if it had like a modern a fucking carbureted engine does nothing for me. But if it had a modern engine in it and I could build an interior in it and kind of like make it how I would use the car, then absolutely. I would love it. So, and my wife and I have talked about this as far as older cars. Like one of our bucket list things is we want to go to the Amalfi Coast on a vacation, rent an old car, and just drive it down the coast. I don't know. That's really my only infatuation at the moment with old cars.
Yeah. I could see you guys with like a old like International Scout or like an old Bronco with the roof off, like,
Yeah.
modern but old school and kind of fun. But
Yeah, but I will say like so that vet was a local vet, and when I did the demo and the unveiling to the client, obviously there was another local company that did the LS3 engine swap, and like when I went to their shop, they have a lot of older vehicles, like a lot of Land Rover Defenders and stuff like that they've restored, and they're like really badass. And obviously this whole job started for me to go there and trying to fit the interior that they put in and make it fit better. So once they saw the work that we did, they're basically like, how the fuck have we been here and not known that like you exist right down the street?
right.
Because he kept telling like the client, he's like, man, this Delaware, this is Lewis, Delaware. We're all right here. You know what I mean? And he was like, we need to collab on some future projects and stuff like that. So, I mean, the car came out really killer. It looked and felt very OEM. We have the YouTube video up now on YouTube. There's pictures of it on my website, mosaicdesign.com. So if you haven't seen it yet, go check it out. But I'll say it's one of really the only older cars that I've done kind of like an interior rebuild in. And I was very happy with how it turned out.
Cool. And the customer, is he out using it or?
Yeah, it's summertime, so he's probably rocking that thing up and down the street.
Sweet.
Yeah. And then after that, we've just done a bunch of random projects. We did a few, high-end radar laser integrations, which I know you did one because you texted me.
Yeah.
Right? You did one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It all blends together
Yeah.
now. I'm like, oh yeah, we did.
Yeah, we did one in a Porsche Taycan, which
Oh, cool.
super nice car, dude. I've driven
Yeah.
a lot of Teslas and a lot of P100Ds and really got on them. And the Porsche is like super impressive, right? It feels like that the biggest difference I can say between the two cars is the Porsche. One, it's designed like a Porsche, right? And the interior is the fit and finish is like you would expect any other Porsche to be. And the other cool part is the interior is designed like a 12-volt car, whereas like your fuse boxes are normal fuse boxes, and you wouldn't know that it's an electric car. Whereas when you work on a Tesla, it feels like an electric car.
Right.
The Porsche still feels like a Porsche, right? So like taking it apart and all that just the fit and finish is great. The electronics are dope, and when you're driving it down the street, it feels like it'll just accelerate for eternity. Like it just doesn't feel like it'll ever stop. And the other cool part about it has 2 charge ports, so it has one on each side,
Oh, interesting.
which is convenient.
Yeah,
I guess
that's a smart
depending
move.
on whatever situation you're in, and if one charge port door like doesn't open, you always have a backup. So that was a cool project. And then we did a BMW M8, which was another like radar laser integration project. That thing turned out really dope. And then we've just got like this influx of Vanderhalls, and it's funny because like things always come in duos or bunches. And you know, we did one that was a Venice, which basically is the one without the doors. It's all like one solid structure. And we made like an acrylic back window that lights up with a third brake light, did an audio system, a bunch of lighting, and then
Is that local customer or?
yeah,
how's that?
local. And then we did 2 down firing 8s in like the storage compartment in the back, which isn't really big. It's pretty small. But we did like a cool fascia that makes it look like it's a factory part of the car or automobile or bike, whatever the fuck you want to call it.
What woofers did you use?
So Brian sold the job, and I think he was trying to get rid of some of he used like these thin kicker 8s.
Oh,
I'd
yeah.
never used them before, but we used
square ones or round
no,
ones?
round.
Okay.
Yeah. Really slim 8-inch subs that we did down firing. And then we're doing a Carmel right now, which is I think the bigger one, the high end Vanderhall, and it has the doors. And we did a 10 TW1JL sub, which is basically side firing. So it like loads in this enclosure box, and then it vents out where the open storage would be. And we did a nice little beauty panel. That box was so hard to build because we did it out of Baltic birch, and it had to be like notch cut all over the place. Like there was like, it's the dumbest looking box you'd ever see in your life. But that's all done, and we again made it look all pretty.
2 different customers, or one customer owned
Two,
both cars?
2 different customers.
Do the customers know each other?
No.
Was there any
No.
link?
Nope.
Just completely random.
Completely random, one after another. Like literally one after another. Which is convenient because Aaron, one of the guys that works with me, he did the lighting on both. I did the audio on both. So, I mean, you kind of know what you're getting into after the second one. The first one, I had no idea. But the weird thing about how these fucking things are made is they're all aluminum, and they're all basically TIG welded together. So, like, from the frame to the dash to, like, every part of this thing is literally just welded together. So when you're adding new things or trying to put bigger stuff in, it can be like an utter pain in the ass because you're just, you know, cutting through aluminum and trying to make stuff work. And, you know, it's kind of weird how they put it together. Because if that thing ever got
apart,
it was not built to come apart, right? But the one that we're doing now, kind of like I said in the beginning of this pod, is the door panels that we built. And one of the big reasons this guy wanted to get work done is he wanted to kind of convert a lot of the panels from like this beige vinyl to like a dark walnut. Because I guess some people make certain panels that are like making the interior wood, and when they do it, it's just kind of like they're taking the entire panel and making it wood, and it's still flat. There's no dimension, there's no depth, there's no design. So it just kind of looks stupid. So when he saw what we did for the subwoofer, we started with the sub. And again, JL10 TW1 subwoofer. We did a Helix P6 DSP amp with the director to control it up front. And then we're basically running a Focal Kevlar set of speakers active in the front. And then, of course, we're powering the sub off of a JL MX501 marine amplifier, which is all hidden underneath that storage compartment to the left of the subwoofer. So you don't see any of that stuff. So decent front stage. The sub fucking sounds amazing because it loads in that enclosure, so it keeps all the bass there in the listening area. And when he saw what we did with the walnut in the back for the subwoofer enclosure, how we put Vanderhall in it, just made it look all nice, he was like, yeah, let's do door panels. Like, we sold him door panels off of that, because it's always fun when we get local people in. They just think they're going to like an audio shop, right? Like their basic audio shop. So like
Right.
what he's expecting in the back for a subwoofer is not what we did, right?
No,
So,
no
yeah.
salt and pepper stretch carpet.
Right, yeah. So when he saw what we did, he's just like, well, Jesus Christ, let's do some door panels. And I'm trying to describe to him how I would do door panels. I'm like, listen, I wouldn't just do like all this out of veneer. I would design something to have a bunch of different design elements from this Vanderhall into the door panel to make it look like it's a real legit door panel versus just a big empty panel. So he's like, yeah, do whatever you want to do, whatever it costs, just, let's just do it. So we built 2 door panels. Took like, 3 days in total with design time. And wrapped that up today. Started it Friday, so Friday, Monday, Tuesday. Both door panels are fully done, designed, and now I have it drawn, and I could make them again in the future if I ever wanted to. But yeah, those are done, gone, wrapped, and then now I just got to focus on the dash, veneering the dash, incorporating the director, and then one of the things he originally wanted to do was he wanted to put in a Sony double-din radio, but in the Carmel, the dash is slimmer than the Venice, so you can't fit a double-din in there without dramatic modification. So one of the biggest reasons he wanted it was for a backup camera, because he says it's a problem to see when he's backing up. So my best solution, and we'll see how this comes out, this is before I've even started anything, but what I'm going to end up doing is taking a monitor, and there's an aluminum like footwell on the passenger side. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the aluminum. I'm going to embed a monitor behind a piece of acrylic on the footwell, rebolt it in, and then I'm going to laser out a design on the footwell to make it look like a footwell, like it's like it's grippy and it's where you would put your feet, but where the monitor is going to basically be clear. So when the monitor is on, it just shines through the footwell, and it's never going to get washed out in the sun because it's all the way down at the footwell. So that's the only solution I could come up for the guy, because he was trying to incorporate some sort of a backup idea or solution within this.
And does
vehicle.
it have any sort of radio now?
No, so it's basically just a kick, like an aftermarket kicker. So it's a kicker amp, and it has a small kicker knob.
Oh, okay.
So it's an aftermarket piece.
Right.
So we have now the director, which is going to be his main control. And it's cool because you can upload like certain images in the director. So at the top of the director, it says Vanderhall on it when he's using it. So it looks like it's an OEM thing from Vanderhall. Yeah, so we'll see how that monitor turns out. I have no idea. I just know it's an idea of how we can include it, and we'll see how well we can see that through.
No chance of hanging a floaty screen or anything like
No, because even so, like behind the dash, there is, and when you look at this thing, I'll send you a picture tomorrow of what it looks like. But it's basically like a, what do you call it? It's basically like a, it has the guts of some GM car, like all zip tied behind the dash. Right. So like that's how they make it. So it's some sort of GM that they've taken apart. The BCM and all the harnesses are like zip tied there right behind the dashboard. It's a mutt basically.
Yeah. It's cool though.
So yeah,
they're interesting cars. They're definitely vehicles.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I call it a car, but
yeah, they're definitely. I think they're more stylish than a slingshot. A slingshot is more showy, but the Vanderhall is more like reserved and classy.
Yeah. Yep.
So if you don't know what a Vanderhall is, picture a slingshot that's like European.
Yeah. A slingshot with class.
Yes.
So anything else in between all of that?
I don't know. I'd have to look at my Facebook. What about
I think
you?
we snuck one other kind of fun one in there. We did a newer 4Runner, and we did Audio Frog GB60 in the door, GB 15 in the dash, and then built a really cool box in the rear side. That's the one I think I sent you pictures where we did the grill that kind of looks like the TRD Pro wheel, and got really intricate on the grill for it. And, just Moscone 1 Series amps. It's kind of an interesting one. I was going to ask you about this. So I got the car all done, demo it for the customer. He's really happy with the sound. We go through, give him the full rundown on everything. And a couple days later, he calls me and he's like, I love everything, but I feel like there's just not enough bass on certain songs. And I'm like, okay, so this is like a legitimate, like, did we not put enough woofer in the car? Does it not load well enough? Do we not have enough power? I'm like thinking through all this, and I'm like, we did everything right? Like we have a sealed box that's going to play all the way down. It's got a GB 12 inch in there. We did a lot of work to get it in about 1.55, 1.6 cubic feet. Into the rear side, like all the way up inside. So it's got enough air in it. The box is stuffed. It's in the corner. It's loading really well. And we have 1,000 watts available for it, right? So anything we ask it to do, it's going to do. And so I ask him, I'm like, can you give me some songs that you're listening to where you're not hearing the bass? And I have a set of studio monitors set up at the shop in my tuning bay. And so I take his track list and I just start listening to it. And then I go to tracks that I know really well. And I'm like, yeah, those tracks just have no bass. And I'm like, it's some like 80s type stuff where just like you would think there was bass, but there's not. And I'm like, so I call him back and I'm like, I'm going to suggest something that I would never usually suggest. I don't know that I've ever suggested it before. And I can see by the grin on your face, I think you know what I suggested. And that's what we did. We once again, hi Chris Bennett, we added an epicenter, and it was really interesting for me to tune the system again and dial in the epicenter in that scenario where it wasn't my customer that wants to beat down the block with 812s. It was my sound quality customer that just wanted it to have some more bass on recordings that didn't have enough bass for them, and where the level control knob, again, we always put a sub level control where there wasn't enough there on the sub level control to make it happen. And I was pleasantly surprised. Like I was like, I never would have thought that I would ever suggest this, do it, and then actually have it work well. So it was kind of a fun experience.
So we say that we didn't have a guest this episode, but apparently it's Chris Bennett.
Yeah, honorary guest, Chris Bennett.
He did text me and say he wanted to come on the show, so
Yeah,
we'll get you on at some point. But
at
least this should give you a little appetizer to your episode.
Yeah. You know what else we did that I just remembered from remembering that car, because it was right about the same time that we had that there. I went through IASCA judges training.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah, we never really talked about it much. We kind of saved that knowing we didn't want to talk about it too much. But not that far from me. And when I say not that far, like an eighth of a mile from me, quarter of a mile from me, is another stereo shop. And they hosted an IASCA event. And the day before the IASCA event, they hosted judges training. And, you know, it'd been a long time since I paid attention to any of that kind of stuff in detail. And I thought it was time to take a refresher course. And so I sat through judges training with some other people and some hardcore enthusiasts and, you know, some rock stars of car audio, we'll just say. And it was really cool. It was cool just to kind of touch base and remember what they're looking for when they judge cars, and to sit and listen to some guys that really have a ton of passion for car audio and then use that to compete and build better systems. And some of the stuff they're doing is really amazing. Like, you forget how much, when we have to do this on a daily basis, it's not necessarily the same amount. Like, we can't spend 100 hours,
right? Yeah, that's always
this.
That's always the big tough thing. Is like, you know, at the end of the day, the only thing that I try and tell my client is we're gonna get the best version of this equipment audibly for you, right? You know, whereas like, I hope that this wouldn't be able to go anywhere else and anyone can make the same equipment sound better, right? Because every equipment is going to have a point in which, like, it's going to be at its end point, right? You're gonna hit the limit on what this stuff can do, on the nuances of things that you can hear out of music. And, you know, it's always fun to be able to go the full distance and spend X amount of time on it with the best equipment and just get every like little thing out of it.
Oh yeah, and some of these cars, just the stages they create are just absolutely amazing. But I'll tell you this, like, the cars that do the best and stand out as being way over the top are in classes where you're building gigantic pods that hang in places that none of my customers would want them. So it is kind of interesting to balance that and to see it and just kind of touch base with that side of the world a little bit and see what they're doing. And they're doing some great things. I mean, it's really cool. It's really some depth to sound stages that you're not getting using factory locations or building, you know, a recessed set of pillars and you know, these guys are putting speakers in not the most obvious places sometimes and getting some amazing results.
And that's also one of the biggest challenges that I find when designing systems for clients who are on the higher end of wanting to create something special from a soundstage perspective, right? And we have to understand and differentiate on how much more you would get out of doing something that's going to take away from the aesthetics of the car, you know?
Oh yeah.
So we have to define and articulate really what that is. And the clients generally are, you know, using your best judgment for that, right? Because like sometimes you'll see us use certain drivers off axis, right? And in those situations, one, we're using a driver that performs well off axis, but also, you know, when you start taking two drivers in a small pillar and you're trying to absorb a lot of the depth as possible to have them look still aesthetically good and not become some obstruction for viewing on the dashboard, those are the things that you have to keep in mind, right? It's too hard to take two different drivers and put them on axis because it's going to look like a fucking volcano, right? No matter how you slice it. And that's why one of my favorite speakers are always the C3CX, because you're only with a pillar, you can always absorb one speaker very well. When you try and absorb two, it becomes very difficult. So, you know, when you see us do different things, and that's always big questions people have, is like, so why in this car did you do them on axis, this one off axis, and this one in factory locations? And it really comes down to obviously the amount of money each client has as a budget, right? And trying to maximize their budget, because sometimes it makes more sense to go from a Focal Kevlar that has pillars that you're building pillars for to go to a Utopia M in factory locations, right? The end result is going to be better using the Utopia M's in a factory location versus the Kevlar in an on-axis situation, right? So there's so many different designs and things like that, you know, people are always confused, like, well, you did it here and then you went off axis here. Like, what's the reason for that? And, you know, there's always so many different reasons to that, because anytime that we're designing systems, people just have to understand, listening, that a lot of people's, their starting budget, you know, they've extended that budget and pushed it and pushed it and pushed it, right? We generally always end up way further than where we start, or whether, you know, the first number that the client gave us. And because of that, like, there comes a point that you just can't keep going, right? You can't just keep adding money and
Right.
$2,000 pillars and blah, blah, blah.
It's just like racing a car, right? Like anybody can just go out and spend, you know, insane gobs of money to get more horsepower. But if just gobs of money or horsepower won races, everybody would be the fastest. Right. It doesn't work that way. You can't just always throw money at the problems. And sometimes you need a better solution. And sometimes you have to make that compromise. But having everything work well together in the end is always the best scenario. And for the budget, like, a lot of times those, you know, we've had the 2-way, 3-way conversation a couple of times. We've had those budget system conversations. And sometimes you just look down and it's like, hey, you can get it to, let's say, 75% of perfect. And let's say that that's $6,000. And if you want it to go to 85% of perfect, that's $12,000, right? Like, is that how you want to approach it? And some customers it matters to, and some it doesn't. One of the interesting things that I was really thinking about when I was going through that training and the judges training was somebody was spending a lot of time talking about, like, the arc of a soundstage and how bowed some cars are, and how the vocals will drop on one side or both sides and create a big arc in the soundstage. And I was thinking to myself, I'm like, you know, I've never had a customer that listened to a system that we got done with be like, you know, I really like it, but there's just slight bow to the soundstage, right? Like, I'm like, this is just not the average customer. Now, they're out there. Trust me, they're out there, right? And the guys that compete will definitely, you know, that's one of the things they're listening for. It's kind of interesting to hear that and see the crowd that it matters to. And there are people that it matters to, and you're not, you know, addressing those types of issues at that level on $3,500 budget systems.
Right. So is there anything that you heard of or learned that surprised you, like, a lot, that you had as like a takeaway and you're like, oh shit, I would have never thought?
No, I mean, and again, I've read through that stuff a few times over the years, so it wasn't like anything that was like really far out there. What got to me was, or what stood out to me was the number of guys that were really pushing and doing competitions and doing them in the upper classes with a lot of modifications and some really, really nice gear. Yeah, there's a lot of guys that take it really serious and do a lot of time testing. I will tell you that I was not as impressed with the installs as I was with the sound, right? Like, it will be cool as people build cars that are, you know, trying to do the whole thing. But back in my day, when I was a kid, right, like, it was very much a pride thing that you wanted everything to be finished. I mean, heck, we had Carlson on last week who, like, we had this conversation about how, you know, tying in the aesthetics and the sound quality of systems is really what kind of pushes them over the top. So, but there's a lot of guys out there building and rebuilding and chopping and cutting and trying to find that next thing. And that's, you know, it's fun to see that passion that those people have and for really pushing those envelopes.
Yeah. And I have a good segue kind of on everything that we just talked about. Is one of the projects that I've I was just looking at that I completely forgot about. I did it after the vet was a brand new BMW X4M. And you and I have talked extensively about BMWs.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always said that generally based on factory locations, they just have too many problems, right? So this specific one that I did, what I used was Focal Utopia M mid-range and tweeter in the factory locations. So mid-range in the door panel, that dumb position like aiming down, and then the tweeter in the factory sail panel, and then the underseat Focal just IBM BMW woofer, right?
Okay,
So it's
real
like the
quick.
BMW integration.
X4, you said.
X4M. It's like the smaller SUV.
What's the difference between an X3 and an X4?
X4, I think, is more of like a crossover.
Oh,
And the X3 is like a small X5.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, and the factory system, was it HK? Was it
Yeah, it was HK.
in 2020, 2021?
2021. Or 2019.
2019. So
But
no
it's the-
iDrive 7 yet.
The new body style.
New body style, but old infotainment system, basically. It's still
I think
iDrive
so.
6.
Yeah.
Fiber.
Yep. Yeah, so we used a Helix integration piece for that instead of the Nav TV or the MoBridge. First time using it, worked out well. Very simplistic to use. There's just jumpers on the side, depending on what you use. So you don't have to like do any firmware updates or anything like that. Just very straightforward and easy to use. We did a Helix V12 DSP amp and a Helix P1, and that's the mono amp. And we did a JL13 TW5 under the rear storage compartment. So this fucking car sounded amazing. And
In the factory location?
in the factory locations. And I guess my thought behind that of why it sounded good in factory locations is that we used the Focal Utopia M, which have a unbelievable off-axis response.
It's
That
I
with the
don't
mixture of the
think-
Helix. It was my first
don't-
time using the Helix V12.
Is it your first
And-
time using factory BMW speaker locations?
You know, it might be.
Oh, see, you hater.
I don't know.
You hated on those locations, and I told you, I like those locations.
The car sounded really, really, really good. And the guy, when I did the demo, I think he was utterly shocked. But that's also goes to what I was saying about extending a budget.
Yeah.
Because when we first started this whole thing, it was like a Focal plug and play. We were going to use like the Match Up 7 BMW amp, like literally everything plug and play. But then he kind of was branching out and was like, well, what if we do this? What if we do this? And then it wound it up with Utopia M speakers up front with the Helix V12 DSP amp.
Did you center? Did you do rear? What else? Anything? Did you just focus on front, left, and right? Or
Yeah, it was front three-way, and we used both factory rears. And the rears were more of just like a super ambient rear, if you will. The sub sounded incredible. There was a nice, I don't know if we took out the spare. Maybe the spare was in there. I forget, it was so long ago. I think we took out the spare, and we made the sub enclosure like kind of mimic the spare, and it still worked with all the styrofoam around it. So the styrofoam kind of hugged the enclosure, and there's plenty of gap between, the sub and the floor, and plenty of space for the air to move. So,
and you just left the factory floor right on there, and
oh yeah. You would have no idea if the floor. It sounded the same with the floor up, with the floor down, right? As long as you have plenty of air to move, and there's no resonance, you're 100% golden. And that's how it always works with underfloor enclosures for the people listening, because everyone's like, doesn't there need to be a vent? Doesn't there need to be this? As long as it's not like right up against the floor and the floor is shattering, as long as air can move in there, you're pretty much good.
got a car in the bay that I have to look at tomorrow to figure out what we're doing for a subwoofer, and that is kind of an option to do it that way. And I've never done it with a stock floor, and I'm just worried that it would make it dance and boogie. And
Yeah. I mean,
they couldn't put stuff on top of it.
Yeah, some of the only other tricks is if it moves a lot. A lot of times you can put like hush tape from Hush Mat, I think. Yeah, hush tape. You can like kind of put it on the edges where the floor sits, so it just adds more pressure, because really all you're worried about is that like spring mech, like when you're opening it, that there's just enough pressure between the floor so there's no movement. But another thing that I did on this BMW, like aesthetically, which I hadn't done in the past, I took the factory Harman Kardon aluminum logos on the tweeter, and I basically just sanded them down to nothing, completely flat, polished them, and then I put them on the laser, and I put the Focal logos on them with seal mark. Oh, wow. Cool. And they looked fucking tits. That's cool. They looked amazing.
Very cool.
Didn't even take that long to do, and it looked like it was the OEM badge, but it was polished aluminum, and it had Focal in black.
That's cool.
But yeah, that thing came out well, and I'll retract my statement about the factory BMW locations, right. Especially in this car. So yeah, I think at least I'm up to date now.
Yeah, I got a couple, but I'll save some for next time, because I feel like it takes us so long to do cars that I'll keep a couple in the bank for next time we go through catch-ups of cars.
So do you have any topics in mind for this season? Like we did the whole $3,500 system last season.
Yeah, $6,500 system season. Come on, what are you talking about? Like, it's that easy. No, I think from the feedback that I've been hearing and getting, that we're touching a lot of those right bases. To expand on that, I think that the stuff that I kind of feel like we should be diving into is, and I believe we talked about this early on last year, was how we as people that design and install systems, and how customers that want these systems communicate and get across how detailed of a listener they are, what they're listening for, and how installers and customers, system designers and customers, can come up with a way to communicate what level of system they need. I talked to a customer yesterday that I'm pretty sure has 5 times the quality of gear that he needs. And when I say that, I say it because he's determined on what speakers he's using and where they're going in the car. And it's going to get to a point where spending thousands of dollars on an amplifier isn't going to do anything in that situation, right? Mm. The speaker location is what the holdback is. The speaker is what the holdback is.
Of course.
If you want the car to sound better, you plugging in an amplifier that costs 5 times as much isn't adding the sound quality, right? The thing that's detracting from the system is the speaker. And so I think that we'll probably kind of dive down that route a little more and kind of help figure those things out. And again, I really like this being about system design and maximizing people's budgets and making better decisions when it comes to the product and the install, and kind of setting that minimum acceptable quality level for the install and the whole system in general. What about you?
I like that. No, I mean, kind of like more on what you were saying is, I like just the idea of cultivating, and again, I hate the term audiophiles because it's irrelevant. It's a really
broad term.
Yeah.
It's a really broad term.
Like there is no such thing as a videophile, right? There's really, like, and I always go back to this analogy, but like when you and I watch TV on a good TV, it's not like we would consider ourselves videophiles because we enjoy a good picture. Like, you can see a good picture, I can see a good picture, an old person can see a good picture, right? They can all easily see that something looks more realistic without any kind of background training, period. The same goes for listening. Any single person can listen to an audio system and discern if it's realistic or not, right?
Right.
That does not make them an audiophile. That doesn't say that they spend all this money on equipment or whatever it is, but they can discern if something inherently sounds real or not. Like if it's a real thing happening in front of them. And the more and more that I do a lot of these cars, and I have people that even have stuff at home, like the BMW, right? That gentleman, he had like Focal stuff at home, so he's got really nice stuff at home, but at the same time, what he experienced in his car is like nothing he experienced before. And I know the next time, whether he changes cars or not, he's wondering what the next level is going to be like, right? And that's how you get that progression of customer going from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of customers, once they take that leap from a average car audio system to something that has good speakers, has DSP, it's installed right, it's tuned right, they cannot go back. Like you would, any other car that they sit in that doesn't have those things, they're going to start to hear those differences. I think one of the funniest, I'll have to, maybe I'll be light as I say this. I had to do a car. I got to do a car. I did a car. I don't know how I should phrase that, but I did a car for someone who is a very famous person in the music industry. And when I was approached to do the car, it was by a third party. And the explanation I got was that like this person was never happy with any system they'd ever had in a car before, and they had lots of systems in the car. And I basically said that, it wasn't that I thought that this musician in particular had a great ear or was an audiophile or was really into the sound, but this person spent a lot of time in very high-end recording studios and was around really good sound. And when he hears that, not stuff that is so far off from that, it becomes a problem. And that's the same scenario. You get spoiled, you get used to a certain standard, a certain level, and that can be lack of distortion and tonality are probably the two biggest things. A lot of my customers come in and they aren't expecting some great soundstage, but then when they hear it, it's eye-opening, right? Like it is like, oh, wow, that's what it's supposed to sound like. And they've never heard it before. And do they want to go back? Nope.
Right.
Nope.
Right. And like I said, that's kind of like that's kind of how I look at my job. Right. And I think I mentioned this last season, but my job is to make people prioritize audio in their life. Right. Because again, somebody that collects a watch or collects watches, they started somewhere and then they became infatuated with it. And then they start spending all their disposable income on watches. Same thing with clothes, traveling. I mean, you can pick anything in the world. People have something that they spend their disposable income on. And I try and move them in a way that they've never been like emotionally moved by audio. And you put them in a car, you lay it out there, you tell them what's going to happen. You play a few things that that they know, and you get a gauge on what they like. And that's kind of the other thing that I would say to installers is people installing things in cars and doing demos, try and have the most diverse background in all music, because you need to know the perfect thing to play that's going to move each client. So you need to have all the artists in your head, all the best tracks, all of that stuff has to be a Rolodex inside your brain. And that's kind of like what I've been telling, Aaron, as I've been mentoring him at my shop. Like when it comes to the demo, like the demo is the cataclysmic part of the whole install.
Well, I think it becomes so important to demonstrate for a customer A, what you're capable of doing, B, what's possible for them to have, right? Like if they've never heard that in a car, they don't know they want it, for one, right?
Mm-hmm.
And two, like having a reference point that you both listen to, and you know whatever car you're demoing, they just heard it, and it's at that point it becomes very easy to say, oh, that had more bass than I needed, or I wish it had a little more bass, or hey, I wish it doesn't need to get that loud, or hey, I wish it got a little louder. But just having that reference point with a customer and then getting them to have that experience and know what they're missing out is, I think, the key.
Yeah, and a lot of these jobs, a lot of the times I'll pair and sell like really nice reference headphones with the Rastel, because I'm like, listen, you already have the Astel for your car, but have the headphones because this is going to give you a true reference. The headphones aren't going to lie. You throw these on in a quiet environment, this is what the music sounds like. And it can even get you more engaged in your car audio system or your home audio system, because this is the reference. Like everything is going to build off of these headphones. And since we've talked, I got the Focal Stella headphones, and those things are incredible. It's the highest end closed headphones that they make. And the reason I wanted the closed is because I travel a lot and I'm never in a quiet room. So when I have these on, I want it to be quiet. But like I said, even for me to still continue to listen to newer tracks or whatever, like that's giving me a reference for what to go after and what to get out of systems and make sure that stuff is exposed. Because once you know the music, and, nothing's going to lie. And for clients to like go this far with the car, some clients spend, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 grand on an audio system. So like adding a set of $3,500 headphones, it seems viable on a system like that.
Right.
And for them to get the validation of what they spent is also, priceless, because again, the headphones aren't going to lie.
Right. Yeah, that's one thing I'm really surprised about as I talk to other installers, is how few of them actually have a reference system, right? And that doesn't need to be like something insane. Like you can get a good set of headphones for a couple $100. You can get a pretty darn good set of bookshelves for a few $100 to $1,500. You can get a nice set of bookshelf speakers. Like you can get that reference of what it's supposed to sound like outside of the car. When you take the effects of the car out of the equation, here's what listening to good sound is. And then we put it into a car and we get those few benefits of, cabin gain and pressurizing a small environment and having more power than you'd usually have at home. But we have all of those reflections and speaker locations to deal with, and getting a reference so that when you get into a car, hey, something's not right. That's the key. Or, hey, I'm hearing this. Why am I hearing this? And I feel like that's the first thing. And maybe we should try to help people out with that. I don't know. I feel like this whole conversation can segue into a whole nother episode, because I just want to get off on so many tangents right now of just saying, like, that's one of the biggest problems in our industry is installers. They don't have a reference, and their reference is the last vehicle that they installed something in. Right. And they don't know what to listen for. And when they do a demo, because I've seen it happen, or when different salesmen give a demo, they just play a song and then they're like, what do you think? And you're like, what? Like you have to set a stage and set an idea of what they're going to hear, where they're going to hear it, just all of these different things to validate what it is you just did. And it's just such a problem in our industry. Yeah. Yep. Problem for some. Problem for a lot of shops.
Education. That's the biggest problem in our industry is education to the client. clients, and it's why we started this whole fucking podcast, because clients need to be educated.
Yeah. I will tell you, I think we've both had a few customers come from that we know are listeners of the podcast, and the education level that they have is very nice. It's very nice to talk to a customer that already is having a good understanding of it. And, it's hard if you're just some guy that, used to have systems back in the day and you've been out of it for 15 years and you're ready to get back in. It's hard to like look down and not realize that certain brands are not what they once were, and that the guy's just trying to sell you whatever he's got, 23 of in stock or whatever it is. Like it's,
and it feels like that's 100% of the clientele. Because again, people that haven't heard the podcast and they're like geeky people that are like, yeah, I used to do this 20 years ago. I'm like, listen, before we even say anything else, we have a podcast and this is right up your alley.
Yep.
But yeah, I think that whole thing is going to be a topic for another day, because again, I could go on and on about that.
Yep. You ready for demo tracks? You were just talking about demo tracks.
Sure, you start. I started last time.
I got it.
And
I'm gonna have to look.
I'll look something up.
I'm doing this on the fly again.
So am I.
So what did we do last week? You did not believe me last week.
Yeah.
When I predicted
Yoshi Horikawa.
I can never. Bubbles.
Yeah.
Bubbles was the list. Was what made the list, and then
what's your favorite song of all time?
Oh gosh!
And hold on, the reason I say that is because I just scrolled through, and I scrolled through my favorite song of all time, and it's something I become like OCD when it comes to this song, to where anytime that I'm flying, and we descend, the last like 15 minutes of the descension to landing, I play this song on repeat.
Really?
Yeah. It's my favorite song of all time.
I don't know that I have a favorite song of all time, but I will tell you like what song, like I have a song that sticks out as one of my, I can't put one song on it, but what's yours? Let's hear what the song is.
It's Sultans of Swing.
Okay. I feel like LL Cool J Bad. I'm Bad. It's like, that's my jam. Like, I don't know what it is about that song, but like,
I can see that.
I want to say I heard that first. I was in like 6th grade or something.
Such a Gary answer.
Oh. Well, again, that's the other thing with all of this. And when I went to that judges training and listening to music with guys in cars, is to like, there is a certain set of tracks that are demo tracks, stuff that's just recorded super well, stuff that we listen to because it's recorded well and it shows off things that the speaker systems do. I used to have a CD back in the day, and my wife hates with a passion one song on that demo CD, so much so that we make a joke of it all of the, like, often, and that is, I don't even remember who it's by because I try to ignore it now, but Grandma's Hands. Like, it's on like a couple of the early like demo CDs, and like I like listening to those tracks that highlight things, but I also like listening to real music and in combining those. So that's where last week I put I think I did Everything Hits at Once by Spoon. Like, it's a real song. It is recorded well. It's not like, it's not off a Sheffield CD or anything, but
interesting.
All right. Do you have your pick, or am I supposed to?
You start off.
And
we can't do anything cliche, so we got to stay away from all the, I would say, if it seems cliche, don't say it.
Okay. I'm just, oh, there I go. I accidentally hit it to get the stuff. I am going to go with another great real song this week, and it is off the Sound City soundtrack, which is a great movie if you haven't seen it. And the song is called If I Were Me by Dave Grohl.
Nice.
Yeah.
Love Dave Grohl.
Yeah.
Remember the concert we went to?
I do.
Jay from Bombay.
Jay from Bombay.
How many people listening know Jay from Bombay?
Yeah. Send us a message if you know Jay from Bombay.
Yeah. Immediately right now, if you're listening, give us a PM and hit us up. If you know, if you were at the concert from Jay from Bombay, that was so good.
I'm going to add these because now I have to add them to the playlist. If you don't know, we add tracks to a playlist on Spotify that is called, I believe it's just the Old Fashioned Podcast playlist. There are links on the Facebook and Instagram pages to the playlist on Spotify. If you have Spotify Premium, you'll only see the songs that we put on. If you don't have the Premium, you get kind of a mishmash of stuff.
It's a long season. I'm looking at so many different songs. Some trigger me for different instances. I'm gonna say this track, even though I never use it, really demoing. But as I go by it, it reminds me of the first time that I was given a demo, that I was captivated.
Okay.
And I don't use it probably because I've used it so much in the past that you just kind of filter off a track. But it is the first ever song that was used with autotune. Can you name the track?
No clue.
It's not T-Pain. I'll tell you that. It's Hide and Seek by I'm Again Heap. You've definitely heard the hook of the song because
Who's it by one more time?
I'm Again Heap. IMOGEN Heap. HEAP.
Okay.
You've heard the hook because Jason Derulo used it in a song. But it's the first song used with autotune, and it just captivated me the first time I heard it. Back in the Tweeter days, probably in 2003, 2004.
You're getting old.
I mean, that's like 20 years old. No, but it's a good track.
Cool. Well, there we go.
I never use it when I demo, but as I go through all this different stuff, it's the first thing that triggered me to be like, oh, I remember that track.
Well, I'm adding it to the list, and I will hear it in the next thing that I tune, which I believe is a boat tomorrow.
A boat.
I hate boats. I hate installing stereo systems.
A bunch of high pass speakers in boats.
Oof.
Make that shit rock.
I did come across, you want to hear something interesting for a boat? I had a friend bring me a boat that he bought used. It had a system in it. And again, I don't do a lot of boats pretty much on purpose because I don't like doing boats. And he's like, hey, yeah, it's got this knob that's the volume control for the towers. And there's 4 JL cans up across the wakeboard tower. And I'm like, okay, that's interesting. Where, they put an LC1 in. What did they do for this volume control? And I look down and it has a JL751 full range digital monoblock running the tower. And I'm like, that's either terrible idea or a great idea. I'm not quite sure which, right? And the more I thought about it, I'm like, I don't know why I've never thought of that before. Again, I don't do a lot of boats, but you're in a scenario where the right and left stereo doesn't matter. Gives you a nice separated level control for the wakeboard tower that doesn't really need to always be on if you're sitting down, if nobody's behind the boat. And
you can make them fuckers jam.
Yeah, and then you have, a lot of power.
Here's a side question, because it made me think of this when you said boat. What's the first song that comes to mind if you're going to demo something on a boat?
I'm on a boat. By the Lonely Island, right?
I was going somewhere different, but I love your
where
answer.
were you going?
My first song that I thought about was Killing in the Name.
Oh, yeah.
Rage Against the Machine.
Yeah, that's definitely on my demo track list.
Yeah.
It's something you have to ease into. I feel like Rage is like that album is such a good indicator of how well a system holds its shit together, right? Like you could just go right to it, right? And again, that it's a little harsh in the beginning, takes a little bit to get going, and then you're like, yeah, this can hold it, or it just absolutely buries his vocals and just piles on top of itself and sounds like dew. But
yeah, I love that track.
Definitely like that whole album.
Yeah. Well, this was fun. I love catching up.
Yeah, well, it's good to catch up. I feel like we should probably call it about there before we
Yeah.
do another Carlson, 9-hour episode.
Yeah.
Cut into 3.
It was good.
But yeah.
Whoever's listening to this obviously probably made it through the Carlson episode.
Or gave up and just hit stop. No.
That's rude.
I'm saying it's long. It's long.
It's long, but it's good.
It's long. It is good. It is good. It's good to catch up with Jeremy.
Cool.
The leader of our industry. Okay. Well, we'll call it. We'll sign out and then we'll do it again soon.
Yeah, for sure. Hopefully our schedules coordinate here.
Yeah.
It's been so tough this summer.
Yep.
So much going on.
We'll get him on the books and get him.
And you're like, summer? What summer? It's fucking 72 and sunny every day.
It's been hot here. It's been too hot. So I would welcome some cooler air. I don't want cold air. I just want slightly cooler. We get upset in California when it's not specifically between 68 and 75.
Yeah.
We get our panties in a wad. So as soon as it hits 76, 67, we all get pissy.
Yeah. And to the people listening, if you live in a city that has a dope bottle of whiskey, just ship it. Just ship it. What are you doing? Come on. I'm looking at one right here from Waitsburg. I'm assuming that's in Washington, but yeah, the one from Corey.
Oh yeah.
I'm assuming Waitsburg's in Washington.
I have no clue.
But regardless, ship it.
All
right.
Matt with an old-fashioned Car Audio Pod T-shirt where it says "Just ship it" on the back.
I did make a bar during this amount of time that we haven't talked. I did send you pictures. Remember? I sent you a bar and I said pick your poison, and it showed like all the stuff in the bar.
Oh yeah. Where was that? What was that?
It's a bar that I made right by my sliding glass door going to my patio.
Oh,
it's a massive bar I made.
I didn't realize that was yours. I thought you were somewhere or doing something. And that's what that picture was.
No, that
now
was
with
my
some
bar.
context.
Yeah. Yeah. I had to have a place to store everything.
Nice.
Yep.
Yeah, my shelf is going to need some reinforcement, or I'm going to have to start drinking more.
Yeah, I have to put some new L brackets on that thing.
Yep.
You won't put a backstrap on it.
Ooh, you're right. I won't. That would never fly with my wife. Could never have a backstrap on that.
Okay, we're just getting silly.
Yep. Alrighty.
See you on the next one.
Thank you. See you next time.
Yep.
And